Awesome. We'll go ahead and call the April general meeting of the St. John's Neighborhood Association to order at 7:09 p.m. Thanks everybody for being here. It's a fun little turnout on a beautiful day. I hope you had a few minutes to enjoy the sunshine today at some point, or if not, maybe we'll get out in time to see it again. Fingers crossed. So my name is SJNA. I'm the chair of the St. John's Neighborhood Association. Duncan Cattell on my right is the vice chair. We've got various board members in the room. Creed Solis here, Clay Campbell, Bernie Lee. We've got multiple ones on Zoom as well. Forgive me, I think I see Ashley waving. I know there's others. And tonight is just, I think, mostly keeping the community up to date with the approximately 7,643 things going on in around St. John's at this point in time. So first, a little housekeeping. If you're on Zoom, there are live automated translations available. You can enable at the bottom and have it this meeting translated to any language of your choice. So if that works for you or for someone you know, please let them know. We'd love to share that knowledge far and wide. I see a lot of familiar faces. There's probably some new ones in here on the Zoom as well. Just one point of order is I'd like to talk about what sort of makes you a member of SJNA and what you're able to do when you're here this evening. So to put it very simply, if you live in any manner, in any dwelling or any place this side of the cut, you're a member of SJNA. You don't have to have attended so many meetings before this or in a certain amount of time. Also, if you do work at a nonprofit that does significant work in the neighborhood, own a business or property in the neighborhood, you're also a member of the St. John's Neighborhood Association. Can vote motion and make and vote on motions. So trying to make it as easy to participate as possible, as inclusive as possible to be part of this organization. So welcome all you members this evening. For now, if you've attended before, usually often this is where we do the Star Wars scroll of the meeting minutes across the screen. In the interest of time, in the interest of sanity, yours and mine, we're going to table February's for next meeting, and we'll look at both February and April's meeting minutes in May, so we can get right down to business. So what we're going to do is really open this up to be a community forum there's a lot of events, there's a lot of organizations putting stuff on now or in the near future. And so we wanted to provide the forum to update the neighborhood on all these different activities. So I have an order. It doesn't need to follow the order. But if there is anybody from the St. John's Defenders or the St. John's Community Center here who would like to provide any sort of update about where things are, we'd love to hear from you. And otherwise, I'm happy to fill in with any bit that I know. But is there anybody from those movements that would like to say a few words, either on Zoom or in the room? All right. Yes. Would you like to, if for the people on Zoom, if you don't mind coming up? Yeah, thank you.
I'm the center, so
Yeah, please, if you don't mind sitting there and
sit
say
here.
hello to the folks on Zoom.
Hi, people far and near. I'm Grishan Goki, and I am a fairly new resident of St. John's. It's not even 2 years yet, but I teach classes at the community center. So it was pretty remarkable to me that just soon after I started working there, then we have the possibility that the center will be closed. So I can't really speak as one of the employees of the center, one of the administrators, but as an instructor there, I've just seen how important it is for the community. And I'm teaching classes for older adults. I have a movement class Wednesday mornings. That's one of the main reasons I'm here, because I want to, and I can talk to people who are interested after. I will be happy to fill you in on that. As far as the closure, all I can say is that we know that we'll be finding out the final budget over the summer, and that will be July. So all of the programs are running currently all the way through the end of August. I think that's what I'd like to mainly communicate, is that the center is not trickling down to nothing right now. We're all just going forward with the idea that if we get the message that it's done, we'll know in the summer, but the programs are all scheduled through the end of August. And attendance at programs is one of the things that will help keep the center alive. So we will keep rallying and attending public listening sessions. I was there, and so was RJ, for the public listening session at PCC. It overwhelmed the one auditorium, and that they had 2 more rooms where things were taking place. So that felt positive to me. So I'm feeling positive about it, but I am just one little drop in the stream. Thank you.
Thanks, Christian. Thanks for teaching class there, and
My total pleasure.
yes. So please, it's a key message, right? To continue to utilize the center. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. Now, the dates mentioned, really an important next step is the mayor is set to release a sort of preliminary budget where, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry, the multitasking. You are doing great, RJ. The mayor will release a preliminary budget May 5th. And then that is really a key time to participate, because that is when the city council members, our city council members especially, will get to dig into the budget and try to recommend courses of action. So in the meantime, you can still advocate. You can still fill out budget comments online. There's still those ways to provide feedback, but especially once May 5th, when that comes out, we'll see what Mayor Wilson has sort of decided as his first go. And, you know, if it's off the block, still on the block, definitely off the block, you know, we'll learn more then, but then there's going to be more action required then. So we'll take a little bit of a breath, but come back in early May and be ready to once again make sure our voice is heard. So that's about it right now. Is there any questions from anybody about that this time? Yeah. The question was if we know where the District 2 council members are at. They've all voiced their opposition in one way or another. You know, at the same time, there's been some, you know, talking points of they're going to have to cut something from this budget, and that's not going to change. So while they might be opposed to closure, that doesn't guarantee there is no closure. I think there's always advocacy that can be done in that arena to make sure that, yes, while there will be cuts that need to be made, that is not an acceptable one of them, and to make sure that they don't falter on that. But for right now, they've all voiced opposition to the closure. Anything? Yeah.
You said for certain things we hear this gonna close, but how can we support it when it's actually open and to like make our presence known? So I'm so glad to hear like a teacher to the classes and also in the biological space.
Yeah.
And like how's community giving that word of mouth that is great for friends and things. Birthday party is also sort of events. So whatever we can do to show we need them.
Totally.
In the meantime.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, a great point in the room from Kelly sharing about utilizing the center right now and in the future, no matter what, rental space, classes, all of these things, really support the community center in this moment and moving forward, because I have faith that we will keep it open, but we do need it to thrive in this current iteration and the next one and in the future. So thank you. And yes, let's keep engaging with it and finding ways to engage and to enhance it as well. I don't know about that on that front. I don't know if anybody has a preschooler that attends at the community center, but that was a question that came up in the room. Yeah, definitely. Very quiet on Zoom. Mhm. Yeah. Mm. Right. Yeah. There's a town hall on Thursday. Oh, yeah, District 2 Town Hall on the 17th at George Middle School. It's Council Member Samir Kanal and County Commissioner Shannon Singleton. So that is a great place to go and have your voice heard on that. There's, yes, and the other point being made was, if you know anybody, have them come and check it out, support the community center, participate in it, especially if they are in a position of power of government. But that segues very nicely into our next. Yes, Laura.
That was a fantastic night. So powerful to hear how strongly people want the community centers and what a major part of this in our lives. The people that weren't saying cut the other community centers and take ours, it's like the whole thing.
Mhm. Yeah. Montevilla, yeah.
Like they can raise money by, one thing is the inequality tax, there is one, which is for C. Unfortunately, they huge amounts of money compared to the workers in their places. This raises a little bit, that raises.
Mhm. Yes, yeah, Lori brought up the community budget listening session and the solidarity really between all the communities, and not saying close another community center, but don't close any of them. And also maybe try to look for revenue rather than just cuts. Is this? Yeah. So if we're in the room, if we're gonna be making more points, we'll have to come up, and we'll also thus have to limit our discussion on to make sure we get to everything. We're gonna move on. And this segues into maybe bringing some people to St. John's and helping them to show what a gem both the neighborhood is, but also what the community center is. And that's with the St. John's Parade and the St. John's Bazaar coming up in May. So if there's anybody from the St. John's Parade in the room or on Zoom who would like to provide an update, a shout out, please come on up and say hello to the folks on Zoom. You didn't bring a marching band to introduce you or anything?
No, bring your marching band, but you'll see plenty of marching bands on parade day.
Yeah, well, they're coming from that camp.
My name is Tony Darko. I'm a member of the parade committee.
This way. Yeah, there you go.
I'm Brennan Park again. I'm also a member of the parade committee. And we just wanted to let everybody know the parade is happening this year on May 10th at noon, same day as the St. John's Bazaar. And it's the same route as last year as well. Starting at Roosevelt High School, moving around Lombard through the business district, and then ending at the community center.
And I'll just add a few things. We have a new website. Go to stjohnsparade.org to check it out. There you can register to volunteer. You can donate, which we need. There are also, we're looking for a Citizen of the Year. And you can nominate somebody on our website from there. So if you know somebody who is deserving of something like that, check out our website for that. Our parade pins are now available. So if you go onto our website, there's probably about 12 businesses in the neighborhood where you can pick up parade pins. They're $7. They will sell out. So definitely check out our website and get to one of those locations where you can get a pin. And then finally, we have a fundraising volunteer mixer event at the Lombard House on April 17th at 6:30 p.m. So if you are interested in what we do and you think that you can contribute to, or you want to contribute in some way or another, meet us there at 6:30 p.m. and we'll tell you more about the parade. Anything else?
Oh, that's great.
All right, that's it.
Thanks so much, y'all. Thank you. The St. John's Parade, the 60th St. John's Parade. Yeah, I nominate Bernie, Citizen of the Year. You'll see my submission soon. All right, so that's noon on May 10th, starting at 10 a.m. and running all day. We've got the St. John's Bazaar. Seamus, come on down.
Hello, thank you, RJ. I'm Seamus Linsky. I'm with the Bazaar Committee, and it's Saturday, May 10th. It's the same day as the St. John's Parade. We've been doing this since 2007. You all have been doing this since 1963. So yeah, so we've just been doing this since 2007, and the idea behind it is to take all that excitement around the St. John's Parade and keep all those folks in St. John's spending their money at all the shops in town. And so the bazaar kicks off at 10, so a little bit before the parade. And then we pause at noon for the parade, and then we pick it up again after the parade, and we go till about 7. This year, it's bigger than ever. The street closure is going all the way down to Chicago this year. So it's from Charleston on Lombard all the way down to Chicago, so that we can include Wonderwood, Two Rivers and Weird Sisters, and all those shops down at the west end of Lombard. And so yeah, so it's all of Lombard from Charleston to Chicago, and then we've got all the side streets with this year over 200 vendors, which is the most we've ever had. So all local crafters. We prioritize people from St. John's. It's all handmade stuff. This year we're gonna have 3 stages. We'll have the main plaza stage right there in the center of St. John's. Then we have a stage over at Stormbreaker, and then Javelina is sponsoring a stage on Chicago with just a couple bands down there. So it's bigger and better than ever. And just like the parade, we need volunteers. We need donations as well. We're all just totally volunteer run. And so we need your help to keep this great St. John's Day going. That's it.
Thanks so much, Seamus. Folks, I think we can all agree. I'm gonna make a bold claim and just say May 10th, the parade and bazaar is the best day of the year, right? In this neighborhood, it's a fun time. So, what's that?
I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know where I was going with that? No. Best day of the year. Please though, like, these efforts are Herculean and it's everybody in their free time. If you have a couple of hours, they deserve it. Please go sign up for a shift, participate, and let's really foster and make sure the community, make sure these events continue into the future. So with that, yeah.
Posters popping up around town now.
Yep.
There's a QR code on our posters where you can go right to our website and sign up as volunteers.
Awesome. There's posters around town. There's a QR code. And you can use that to go to their website and sign up to volunteer. Great. So up next, is there anybody from the St. John's Boosters in the room or on call that wants to provide an update? The one thing I'll say, I'll just go ahead and share the one thing I know. They have their spring fling, April 26th. Yeah, you want to talk about the spring fling? Come on down. Music.
I am not on the boosters, but I'm performing at the spring fling.
Nice.
So, the spring fling on the 26th, coming up in April, just 2 weekends away. It's this is a new kind of plaza for us that they haven't used. It's in front of Sparrow, the Union. They're calling it the Union Plaza. So trying to utilize that space. Back ages ago, when they built that building, they said it was going to be a community space. This is like one of the first times they've actually used it as a community space. So there's going to be live music called Portland Standard Time.
That is correct.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Puppet show at 12:45. And also lots of booths all around there in the Union Plaza. So I want to shout out April 26th from 10 to
11 to 2?
puppet show at 12:45.
I think it's 11 to 2, if I'm not mistaken. That is a busy day in St. John's. That morning, there's the St. John's Spring Clean, the St. John's Dumpster Day, 9 a.m. to capacity. It rarely makes it to 1 p.m. That's at the farmer's market parking lot. And then I'm going to go slightly out of order here. At 2 p.m. on that same day is Dia de los Niños. And I know Letty's on the call. And so we'll go ahead and have Letty take it away with an update. Where'd Letty go? Please hold. Please play the Jeopardy theme song.
Should we skip her for now? Come back?
Yeah, okay. We will go in order then, and we'll talk about the emergency route. Which I know Donna, I don't think Donna's on the call, in part because I was just with her in Salem. Tonight at 5 p.m. there was a hearing on House Bill 2749, which would be to allocate $5 million to fund the designs for the Columbia Boulevard Bridge over the railroad cut. It would get it to 30% designs, which is the sort of minimum benchmark you need to get to be able to apply for and be competitive for grants. So it is if we're going to make any progress of having an emergency route out of here when the big one hits, this is our opportunity. You may have received my email about this. If you didn't, you should join our email list. So you shoot an email to info@stjohnspdx.org. I'll add you. At last count, there's about 115 pieces of testimony supporting the bill before the hearing started. That's tremendous. We wanted 100, we got to 115 before, and it still accepts testimony until 48 hours after the hearing. So if you haven't submitted testimony yet, you still got some time. Again, it's House Bill 2749. And just a really big shout out to Donna Cohen, who has been working at this tirelessly. And just really going to bat for all of us. Really being, the right kind of advocate that won't go away until that city council member shows up or that state rep shows up. And that is what you need on an issue like this to keep inching it forward. So yeah, go Donna, exactly. So Representative Nelson testified on behalf, he's the one that presented the bill. Senator Lou Frederick testified on behalf of it. Donna did as well. Council member Pearl Guinea showed up virtually to testify for the bill, as well as Councilmember Canal. So a lot of our representatives did come out and show up and provide support for it. But again, they only showed up because Donna was there to be like, hello, you're showing up for this. So a big shout out to Donna. And hopefully that bill continues to move forward, but it's a bit of a journey because it involves money. This was in the Joint Committee on Transportation. If they approve it, it goes to the Joint Committee on Ways and Means. It does not just be able to advance to a floor vote. It has to go to another committee and come out of that committee before it can go to the floor. So the final update is we're going to be annoying you more about this bill. And so please stay involved, stay in the know, and keep advocating on behalf of it. If this bill does not move forward, if these funds do not get allocated, we're talking about years before we can even get to 30% designs, which are still years away from the bridge being built. So this is a huge opportunity. It's very, very important. So please stay involved on that front. But it's exciting news. It is moving at least a little bit forward, and we're on our way. Is Letty's still?
She's back.
She's back. Okay. With that, we'll go to Letty to talk about Dia de los Niños on April 26th.
Hey everyone, hi, it's Letty Alvarez. Yes, Dia de los Niños. This is our 4th consecutive year that we have brought this event to St. John's neighborhood. So we're really excited to have some great funding sources this year. We're gonna be at the community center, which I'm so glad that it happened to be that we booked the venue before all the news broke out about them kind of trying to take it away from us. So it's happening at the community center on April 26th, which is already a really packed day for the neighborhood, I know, but it's happening from 2 to 4, which is after the spring fling. From 2 to 4, it's a family-friendly, kid-friendly event. We're gonna have, we're gonna be giving away, it's really promoting literacy, promoting just bringing the community together and using the space in a great way. So we're gonna have some book giveaways. We're gonna have some fun prize giveaways. We have Big Yard Foundations coming. They're gonna have backpacks for kids full of books. We're gonna have Swap and Play is gonna be there, giving out some goodies for kids. Then we're also gonna have some performers there. We're gonna have a story time. We're gonna have Bolivia Carmichael is a drag queen that's gonna come and do some drag queen story time. Poison Waters has done it in the past for us. And then we're gonna have a Baile Folclórico, which is just a really fun dance that you'll get to see from Latino Network. And have a DJ coming. He's going to have some really fun kid-friendly music, and it's just an opportunity to come and enjoy St. John's and the community center. If you want to volunteer, you can always use volunteers. If you get there at 1:30, I will give you a job. If you really, I've had some people email me and say, "What can I do to help?" I'm like, just show up at 1:30 at the community center, and that's going to be a big help because people need help, bringing their tables in, getting their supplies set up. I'll have some posters made that can get those put around the neighborhood. That would be helpful. So things like that, just if you really want to help volunteer, get there at 1:30, help set up, and then you could stay and help clean up too. But those are ways you could help. So hope to see you and your families there on April 26th. Thank you.
If anyone wants to hang up posters, if you can email info@RJ's email, we will drop some to you, or we can set up a time to get them to you. They're already printed. They've started going up, but we could use more hands.
Yes. Thank you, Letty. Thank you, Ashley. We do have nice big posters. Maybe you've seen them. Hopefully we started to hang them this weekend. Be on the lookout, but otherwise get in touch. Again, that's the info@stjohnspdx.org email address. And we can set up a time for you to grab some posters and hang those up. Before we move on, I do want to move backwards for a second here. Bill, I don't know if you plan on saying anything, but I would love for you to come up and say something if you don't mind. We talked a little bit about the community center before, but this is Bill Ryder, who organized the rally for the community center, along with a group of parents, and you know, whether there's an update or just anything from what you've learned or enjoyed from that process. But I'd love for you to
Sure.
just say hello. And yeah, we have people on Zoom there. If you don't-
Great. Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. Was not planning on this, but I
Hey.
appreciate the invite.
You know,
It's nice to be here. Yeah, this has been quite a battle for us. So the community has really rallied, and I mean, kudos to everybody in the room and everybody who is not in the room has been supporting this event. The rally was better than we expected. We had hundreds of people showing up. Despite what the news said, they said dozens of people showing up. And I was like, come on, there's more than dozens of people showing up. We had hundreds of people showing up. And everybody was showing up to say, hey, don't close down our community center. This is the heart and soul of St. John's. There are so many events and things that happen there, not just for families with kids, like we got our little guy over there doing some coloring right now, but also for everybody in the audience who uses it for, whether it's your kids or your grandkids doing basketball or Tai Chi. Is that Tai Chi? There's some karate going on over there. I mean, they have like everything. And the sad part about choosing to close down a community center, so to be clear, St. John's was one of 3 community centers that were recommended to shut down. The recommendation was for, oh, we should close down a small community center because it's, you know, least impactful to the budget or something like that. But at least it like gets us to where we need to be. And to be fair to all of our counselors, they didn't have a say in this. So they were presented with this budget, and then their job is to go out and get feedback from the community, which I think we did an amazing job of giving them that feedback. And yeah, definitely kudos to everybody here and to the huge group that came out. They had our main goal was to get as many people to show up to the listening session as possible, the budget listening session, which RJ was speaking at. And it was like a sold out house. They could have probably overcome their budget shortfall just by selling tickets to that thing. It was crazy. They had 5 overflow rooms filled to the brim. We got there an hour early and we're in one of the overflow rooms. We didn't even make it into the main room. So huge turnout by the community. It made a big difference. I personally have got emails from chief of staff of every one of our council members and have been in communication with them. We've had statements from Samir Kanal, we've had statements from Dan Ryan, we've had statements from the mayor, we've had
Rep Nelson and.
yes, thank you, Rep Nelson. We've had so much like outpouring from the people who represent us to say, this should not be part of our plan. We need to find a different place. And I just want to say thank you to everybody here and to everybody part of the St. John's Neighborhood Association, and RJ specifically to you for showing up and for putting our newsletter out there and representing us. So we really appreciate it. You all have been wonderful support. Thank you, RJ. And fingers crossed, toes crossed. We're waiting for the May 5th. That's when the mayor releases his budget. After that, we have around a month or so for some testimonials and to then like fight for what we want to see until the June 5th that it is finalized and then adopted. So fight's not over. Any chance you get, like email the mayor, email our council members, they listen to it. I've heard over and over from them. They say, hey, we read every single one of those, meaning like their chief of staff or deputy or an aide reads every one of those in response to them, but that does bubble up to them. So it really does matter. So your voice matters, please, like let them know where you stand. Tell them you're a voter every time. Yes. Thank you. All right. Appreciate it. Thanks, Arden.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. We have a spot here, Jessica, if you want to talk about the bike bus or anything on that front. And I'm gonna. All right. Hello. You want to come sit right here? So you... Oh, Matt. Matt, you have a video for us for this portion here.
Yeah, do you want me to just drop a link in chat or what's the easiest option?
Do we need to allow you to share your screen? That might be the easiest way.
Yeah, we can do either one. I can do screen share or I can give you a link to it.
Yeah, go ahead and share it.
Apologies, give me just a moment.
I did not make this video, but I found it very inspiring.
I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to get full screen. It's on Instagram.
Is there anything you want to do to keep this video up while you...
Yeah, she's.
All right, I think I found a solution.
Video.
This isn't quite full screen, but it's close. Let's see here. Okay. And
There we go.
all right, is that showing up?
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully. Oh, I guess the volume's not too big of a deal. I hope that's okay, Jessica. I will try to get the volume to work.
Perfect.
All right, we good?
Go for it. Hit play and then, yeah, try to see that volume.
Newsletter, because the music is very inspiring. It's a very big part.
Matt, drop the link in the chat here. Yeah, come on down and chat, and I'll try to bring it up through this.
So I am a parent and community. worker
Jessica, for those on Zoom.
Here in St. John's, and I lead bike buses to school, and I encourage other family members to do so also. And we have 2 bike buses now and 2 walking school buses where kids are able to get to school safely and move their bodies and start their day. And I want kids to be able to do that every day, you know, not just on Fridays where they have the social infrastructure of, you know, volunteers helping them get to school safely. I want them to be able to just ride their bike, you know, Monday through Friday. So I'm here because we are going to throw a block party on Charleston and Smith, and we're going to close a little section of the road in the morning. And we are going to cheer our kids on their way to school. And I just want to invite everyone to come to that section between Hudson and Charleston. And we're just going to create like a little space for them to ride through and cheer them on. The kids don't know, it's a surprise. So if you know, like to get up early and you want to come and join us, you are invited. And I think it will be a lot of fun. We travel every Friday through down Charleston, which maybe some of you know is kind of a cut through street, you know, a lot of car volume down that roadway. So we're going to just stop the cars, we're going to cheer the kids on, and we're going to see what happens on those other roadways. Does it increase the volume to an uncomfortable extent on those? And is it worth it? Do our families on those other streets want safe routes for kids to ride? You know I do. So we're going to test that out, you know, see what happens. So I invite you to join us, and I also want you to be aware that Charleston will be closed. So if you are traveling and you normally travel down Charleston, this Friday, it will be closed from 7 to 9. And I encourage you to walk, bike, get there anyway but car. Yeah, it's in celebration of Earth Day. Next time I'm here, I'd love to play this video for you, and I'm going to ask for your support for a resolution that we're putting to City Council to get 25 bike bus routes with diverters so that we can have a safe passageway for kids. Thank you so much.
Oh, is it gonna play?
Thank you again, Jessica. I realized I didn't share that for those on Zoom, but the link's in the chat, so I encourage you all to go give it a watch. Okay. Let's see. We are almost out of time here. Is that we've already had one shout out of another element not on the agenda here about the District 2 Town Hall, Thursday, April 17th at George Middle School. Are there any other events, things to call out, whether it's advocacy, whether it's something fun, anything at all, that we can do a 60-second update on here? Jennifer, you want to come on up so we can? Yeah. Frog Ferry. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like Donna with a Cot, Susan Bladholm has been relentless with the river as a transportation possibility that hasn't been engaged by the city of Portland. We're one of 4 in the nation on a major waterway that does not have river transit. It's crazy, and especially for St. John's. It's ridiculous that we don't. So at this moment, we have been down in Salem, and like you guys, I'm intimate with all the counselors and the mayor. We spent a lot of time in City Hall in the last several months. We're hoping that the resolution will come forward from the Transportation Committee, which is Olivia Clark, although Mitch Green, Councilor Green from District 4, is the default leader on all matters river. That's something for us to know. So when it comes to the tanks or the Tributary Alliance or anything that's happening with the river, it's Mitch Green who will lead. So I'm just going to read to you briefly what the resolution is that we're hoping will come before the city council. Elena knows about us. I've met her chief. That doesn't matter who I've met. Okay, so what you need is the language, 30 seconds. Therefore, be resolved that the city will provide Friends of Frog Ferry with a memorandum of understanding to support fundraising efforts with foundations, corporations, public entities, and private donors. The city will collaborate with Frog Ferry on the use of existing city-owned docks at Cathedral Park and River Place to enhance community access, provide affordable transit, and strengthen resilience on the river. The city will serve as the fiscal sponsor for Frog Ferry in applying for funding opportunities under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and the FTA Passenger Ferry Fund, which still remains at $300 million, and other regional, state, and federal programs. So like you guys, with CUT, we've been down with the Joint Transportation Committee and Ways and Means, seeking the small funding that it would take to get a ferry up. The boat can be on the water in 3 years. All the other funding projects are decades out when it comes to transit. So the last is that all of this will, like you guys in the other projects, we're centering a rally at City Hall on Earth Day, and there'll be a big media event. I don't know how many of you lived in the city when Mike Lindbergh was one of the city councilors. Mike, I worked with Mike. I mean, and Mike had an op-ed in the Portland Observer, I think last week or the week before. Ginny, there are a number of the old guard, me among them, who had worked in City Hall, who are coming forward now saying this is something we've imagined all along. And the notion that somehow the river belongs only to the wealthy or the fishermen is crazy. It is the cheapest, most effective means of transit. And what you guys need to know is one electric ferry is projected to offset over 3,200 metric tons of greenhouse gases annually. So in terms of carbon capture and what it will mean for us trying to hit our 2035 climate goal, you can walk, you can bicycle, yay, Jessica. The third thing you can do is get on a ferry. Those are the 3 top things you could do to make a difference for the city. It is big to plant a tree, yay team, but ride a ferry. Thank you.
All right, we've got maybe a minute if there's any other updates from community organizations or people that we've missed or didn't include on the original agenda. If there's anybody on Zoom, you can raise your hand. Great.
Sorry,
No.
Austin.
Austin, yes.
Hey, sorry, I didn't check the agenda to see if there's anything about the website at all.
We, not, other than maybe during the board updates, but if you
Oh,
want
okay.
to provide a quick, yeah, quick 90 seconds on it or anything like.
Sure,
would that
sure,
be all
yeah. My name's Austin. I've been living in St. John since 2013 or 2015, sorry. And I have served on the board for SJNA in the past. And right now I'm currently trying to help improve the website and make it more valuable to the community members, to all of you. And so I would ask that you please take a brief survey that I created to help guide us in making the website useful to you. So that's really the goal of the survey, and I'll put a link in the chat. Yeah.
Thank you, Austin. That was in our last newsletter. So if you got our newsletter, the link to the survey is in there. Austin, you'll drop it in the chat, and then we also try to put together a meeting recap email so that you don't have to remember every single event that was talked about tonight or every single link that is shared. So we'll include that in there as well. So we have a brief presentation now. Laura, you want to come up and just, yeah, you can introduce what it's about. I'll get it up on the screen here. We'll take it from here. Laura, everybody. Right here. Come on. Yeah. And then,
Oh, did I do something?
hello. Maybe. Well,
Oh, no.
here. Take the microphone, sit on down.
I can just do it myself. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hi, I'm Lori King, and I've lived in St. John's with my husband Dave, who's back there, since 1975, which is probably before a number of people here were born. And I love St. John's a lot, and a lot for the reasons that were just coming out of the meeting just now. There's so many great things going on here, so many great people. And I'm going to raise up some issues about the critical energy infrastructure hub. And there's some real problems there, but there are also positive things that are happening now. So I want to give you that feeling that there are positive things coming up. Okay, so I work with the critical energy.
Yeah, we're having fun.
Jump in there.
Sorry. Yeah.
Progress is happening. Yeah. There we
There
are.
we go.
Okay,
We did it.
we did it.
We
So
did it.
we're, I'm with the Critical Energy Infrastructure Hub Task Force. And what we want to do is publicize what the health and safety risks of the critical energy infrastructure, or CEI Hub, what they are, and also positive steps toward dealing with the health and safety risks. So raise your hand if you would, if you've heard of the CEI Hub. Okay, that's good. A lot of people, and it's so close to us. It's right across the river. Whoops. Okay, so slide 2.
Okay.
So you can advance it with the left or right arrows.
Should I do
And
it?
this is what they're seeing is right
Yeah.
here. So you can use that. as
Okay.
reference.
I'll do it, Dave.
Lori, this is
Yeah.
the.
Can I do it on here?
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
advanced it. Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah,
Okay.
Dave, I'll do it.
I thought I was gonna.
All right, you do it. So what is the CEI Hub? The CEI Hub is, well, that's the previous slide, actually.
Want to go back?
Yeah. Yeah, so the
Okay.
CEI Hub is a bunch of tanks. 450 to 600 are filled up with oil and different kinds of fuels. It contains all kinds of chemicals as well as fuels. And there are, it's usually, I see it, which just makes it hard. I wonder if I could stand and you can, or easier for me to see what's happening.
And you can look here, Lori. Lori, look here.
Okay.
That's what's on the screen.
All right.
So I wanted to talk to you, well, what's in the hub is about 350 million gallons of oil, and that's a huge amount of oil. So the hazards and dangers of the hub, we'll look at just 4 of the many health and safety risks associated with the hub. First of all, it's located on the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake fault. Seismologists predict a 40% chance of the big one within the next 50 years. Plus, the tanks sit on soils that were once lakes and wetlands. These unstable soils will liquefy in the case of the big one. And add to this that fewer than 2% of the tanks were built since 1993. A majority were built before 1970. That's a long time ago. And some of them are from the 1930s and before. As of last year, only 1% of the tanks have been verifiably retrofitted according to DEQ guidelines. In the big one, the tanks would be torn apart, setting off sparks within combustible fluids and liquids that would cause explosions, fires, and toxic releases, and go over that would go over the Portland landscape and be very concentrated in our area. Next. Second, there's the possibility of rail accidents because there are trains going to the CEI hub with carrying fuels and chemicals from points north and east. Here's a photo of the 2016 rail accident at Mosier, Oregon. Fuel and toxic rail car derailments are frequent, they're not rare. So 743 derailments were reported in the United States between January and October of 2023, and over 1,000 total derailments in 2022. So we're on the right slide. Third, health effects of, back to the, there we are. Health effects of operations of the hub accumulate daily. And we're feeling them. We smell the stuff that comes out of the hub. We're affected by that. And it affects different parts of our bodies, from cardiovascular system. It can cause cancer, the fumes, and also respiratory diseases and others. Next. And fourth, another existential risk of the continuing to store and transport fossil and other carbon producing fuels at the hub is the intensification of the climate crisis. How many people remember the heat dome of 2021? Here's some of the temperatures. It was, it was horrible. And how many remember the, incredible off the chart wildfire smoke of a year or so before that? So more recently, there's been flooding in LA, serious flooding, and more. Science is screaming at us to move rapidly away from fuels to energy efficiency, conservation, solar, and wind. Next. Ironically, the CEI Hub sits within a 10-mile Superfund site in the Portland Harbor. Many of us know about that and work on that. Due to contamination from more than a century of industrial pollution, the federal government in 2000 mandated a cleanup of the river. The complex process is taking years and millions of dollars and would be for naught if we don't meaningfully address the issues around the CEI Hub. Next. For many years, environmental and climate advocates have been creative and persistent, like Donna Cohen and others, in publicizing the dangers of the CEI Hub operations and in pushing industry and government to deal better with these dangers and help protect public health and safety. In 2023, the CEI Hub Task Force and allies began like a big campaign to increase public awareness. We did presentations at almost 50 neighborhood associations, plus community and faith groups. And we did a presentation, it was over in James Johns School in 2023 at the St. John's Association. Next. In the right place. Our task force asked neighborhood associations and other groups to join us in sending a letter to elected officials. This is some of what we asked the officials to do. 1, alert people as to the dangers of the hub. Lots of people don't even know about it. Monitor and mitigate the cumulative pollution associated with operations at the hub. coordinate a new plan for Oregon's fuel storage. We shouldn't be storing fuels on a liquefiable earthquake fault. And fourth, require companies to take full financial responsibility for disaster prevention, emergency services, cleanup and restoration versus having the public pay for it. The letter was sent to the governor, the DEQ director, every state representative and senator, metro councilors, city council councilors, and our federal delegation. Here you see the press conference last April 16th, in which we announced that we sent the letters out. It was a great event. It filled Augustana Church. It was excellent press coverage. Maybe some of you saw coverage. And it really showed that neighborhood associations and other groups made a difference. It really raised awareness, not only among more of the public, but also raised awareness among elected officials and city council candidates. And St. John's definitely was one of the neighborhood associations that signed that letter, along with Cathedral Park and almost 50 others. Okay. What has been the government response to the health and safety threats posed by operations at the hub? And here you see the covers of a number of reports, city, county, and DEQ reports. And they have all been issued, and they point to the severe dangers of the hub with respect to the predicted Cascadia earthquake. And that is very helpful, but they don't really go into the health and safety consequences of the ongoing pollution and the climate impacts of the hub. Okay, next. On the state level, next. Oh, yeah, you're right. On the state level, Senate Bill 1567, the Fuel Tank Seismic Stability Program, passed successfully in 2022. It was sponsored by Michael Dembro and Daisha Graber. And Daisha Graber said, it's a great first step, but only a first step. It's not the solution. Next. The Senate Bill 1567 has 3 steps. 1, facilities have to submit seismic risk assessments to the DEQ. 2, they have to develop risk mitigation plans. And 3, they have to implement those mitigation plans with 1, 3, 5, and 10-year benchmarks. So how's it going is the question. Only 3 of 17 facilities of the hub are in full compliance on the timeline set out in the legislation. 14 of the 17 facilities have dragged their feet in one way or another. They've still not provided complete risk assessments, which were due to the DEQ last June. More push is needed. So we say it does need, it needs improvement. The facilities need to improve their behavior. Okay, important CEI Hub legislation is being considered in Salem right now. House Bill 3450 calls on the Oregon Department of Energy to develop a transition plan for the CEI Hub, acknowledging that it's too dangerous the way it is now. House Bill 2949 establishes a risk bond requirement for bulk oil fuel facilities covered by DEQ's program. This critical legislation would require that the industries put money up front to pay for dangers instead of the public paying. This bill is not as strong as community advocates have pushed for, but it allows for some tightening and rulemaking, but we want to make sure this bill passes. Multnomah County commissioners paved the way for this legislation. And both of these bills were part of what we called for in the letter. How about the city of Portland? Oh. Sorry.
Yeah, to the left.
Oh, no. Yeah, oh, right. That's it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, that's you.
Yeah. How about the city of Portland's response to the hub's dangers? The past city council response has been very disappointing. Zenith Energy, how many of you have heard of Zenith? That's great. Zenith Energy is a Texas, and they're emblematic of the past city councils not dealing sufficiently. Zenith is a Texas-based fossil fuel company that transports fuel by rail through Portland and stores them at the hub. Most of these fuels are not used locally. Zenith has an extensive history of violating laws and regulations. In 2021, the city council denied them a permit needed to operate. But in 2022, despite a huge public outcry, including support from 22 state legislators and the entire Multnomah County Commission, under the guise of promises to transition to renewable fuel, the city gave Zenith the permit. The city was acting in line with state and national push for so-called renewable fuels to meet the ever-growing thirst for energy use. Operators are highlighting a new agenda, operators of the hub, toward renewable fuels, big time. Zenith has announced plans, Zenith has announced plans to become a renewable fuels hub in Portland, right across the river from us, for the entire West Coast and for all the West Coast airports. Oh, yeah. So it sounds good to move away from fossil fuels. I'm sure it does sound good, and it sounded good to me, but there are questions about these renewable fuels. Are they really safe? So let's look at renewable fuels. They go by many names. It's confusing. Are there safe, climate protecting, non-fossil fuels? Next. Yeah. So here you see how many that there are many renewable fuels that are based on growing plants, soy, corn, and canola. What makes these fuels sound attractive is the idea that we can burn fuels based on these plants, because unlike fossil fuels, they can be grown again rapidly and absorb the carbon dioxide generated by burning. And that sounds good. But the promises of these fuels is very debatable. First of all, a huge amount of land must be cleared and used for feed crops. Today, nearly 60 million acres are used to grow corn and soy for biofuels. That's equivalent to almost all the land in Indiana and Illinois combined. And that's for just that produces fuel for just 5% of fuels used for transportation. We get about the same amount of energy from 200,000 acres of solar panels. Think about how much land would have to be used to make these renewable fuels a sustainable solution. Plus, there's a big carbon footprint to produce and ship these fuels. And even if, and this is debatable, there are fewer carbon emissions from burning these fuels, they still produce carbon dioxide, and we need to be drawing down carbon dioxide boldly and rapidly from any type of burnable fuel. Building up the CEI Hub to be a renewable fuels hub is losing precious time to turn boldly to the viable solutions of energy efficiency, conservation, solar, and wind. And this is the clincher. The science is 100% clear that the CEI Hub is not the place for storing fuels of any type, regardless of whether fossil or bio-based. These fuels are equally combustible and as toxic as fossil fuels. So in an earthquake, we'd still be in a terrible position. So the good news is that we have a city council and a new form of representative local government. The council has taken steps to hold Zenith and other companies accountable. On March 19th, the city council voted overwhelmingly on a resolution to investigate Zenith's franchise violations and what appears to have been a too cozy relationship with industry and the city. Our voices are critical. This is a turning point. We have the opportunity with this new city council to inform policy around the CEI Hub and other environmental issues. What can we do? So we're going to have a letter, a sign-on letter shortly. Hopefully the St. John's Association will sign on to it. It'll say that the city should involve the public in amending land use zoning codes with respect to the CEI Hub, and that's required by ordinance. And secondly, that the city and state agencies must first demand proof that these so-called renewable fuels will be safe for public health and safety. So that's one thing. We'll come back to you with a letter. And we'd love to have a liaison from the St. John's Neighborhood Association to the CEI task force so that we can keep in touch as things come up. If someone would volunteer, or more than one, that would really be awesome. Maybe RJ could help with that. But if someone wants to talk about it later tonight, that would be great. And as individuals, I'll send around the sign-up sheet. If you'd like more information, we have a great updated newsletter that comes out once a month that goes to neighborhood association chairs. But we thought, why not have everybody sign on if you would like to get an email update? And I have a sheet that I'll pass around. So that's it. Let's save our beautiful neighborhood and keep it going forever. Yeah, and here's resources. If you want more resources, feel free to take a picture. So that's it. I hope I didn't go over too much.
No. Perfect time. And thank you, Lori. Thank you so much for your work. As long as you're okay with it, we can share this presentation out in the meeting
sure.
recap so that people can
Yeah,
view
we'll
it
do
and
that.
roll through it.
That'd
So,
be great.
great.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
We'll say very important stuff. Most uplifting fun stuff to kind of check out here on Monday night. Hey, everything's going great. By the way, we got a little issue across the river. Truly, the stuff doesn't stop here. Are we having fun yet? All right. Sorry, it's a stream of conscious at this point because I'm like, it's like boom, community center, library, this, CEI Hub, we got the bridges. I'm like, we need a few breaks here, people. I guess with that, I do have a break to announce actually. So yeah, we've got a win. Let me bring it up to get the exact language. I received an email today at 9:07 a.m. from the Director of Libraries of Multnomah County to say that they've signed a lease agreement for a temporary library location in St. John's at 81. Yes. There, it is real. The agreement is signed 8191 North Lombard, Unit 110. It is a storefront in the Union at St. John's Building, right next to the library. So it will function similarly to the Hawthorne Holds pickup that has been in operation since that library closed. Basically like full library hours, full services. So it'll be a true legit temporary library until our remodeled one is open. So they do not have a firm opening date. Their hope is to welcome patrons sometime in May. So you can expect May 31st to be the opening date. That's a cheap joke. I'm sorry. Thank you for doing the library people. It is in the Union at St. John's Building. Unit 110. I don't know which unit that is. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's the corner one or what, but it would be a nice location, empty on the bottom. It has been empty the entire time the library has already been closed, so they could have maybe moved in there months ago. But I'll stop there before I get in further trouble. So be on the lookout as we get more information on that and hopefully a concrete opening date. But they're hoping for sometime in May at the Union at St. John's to open the temporary library location. That really should service the neighborhood honestly for probably a full year. The original timeline of construction, and we know construction projects are always on time, and so that would put it at like April. So yeah, I mean, it'll probably be in use for at least a year, but we will see. We'll keep updated on that. So thanks everybody who wrote an email or showed up to our little protest outside of their groundbreaking when the renovation started. It's been a very long effort of advocacy. Actually, the first time I met with the library to talk about the impending closure was May 3rd of 2024. And so on April 14th of 2025, we have a temporary library. So it took about a year to convince that we need these services. So look forward to them being open and to see y'all using them, and make sure you spread the word. All right, a victory. Well done, Duncan. Just catching strays over here by sitting to my right. I don't know. there's one other thing before I want to get to the treasurer's report, and I might be stalling for time here because I know Bernie just ran out for a second. So we talked about some of the upcoming exciting events. April 26th has a bunch going on with the dumpster day, the spring fling, Dia de los Niños. May 10th, the bazaar and parade. Even in July, there's the Cathedral Park Jazz Festival. So when we were talking as a board, our hope was to try to bring another sort of fun marquee event to St. John's. And so our goal is to do that on June 21st on the solstice, to have sort of a St. John's block party day. So if you're familiar with our Safer Together block parties, we've been organizing or helping neighbors organize those for a few years now. We're shut down your block and gather your neighbors up. We provide some equipment and you have a nice time. And so we want to take that, but expand it. So first, we want people to host a block party on June 21st. Invite your neighbors over, have a good time on your block. But we want to also have a hub block party, a main sort of block party in St. John's Plaza, close down the streets, and have programming in the plaza from 7 a.m. to sunset, which is 9:03 p.m. It's the longest day of the year. Let's have a great long day with community activities throughout in the plaza. And then we'll also have a fun little sort of neighborhood passport where there's going to be fun activities going on at the businesses and as with community organizations where you'll earn points towards winning the competition to participate in the most fun St. John's things. So, you know, none of these places have agreed to this, by the way, so do not hold them to it. But in my mind, it's like, go sink a putt at Wonderwood and go help plant a tree in Pier Park with Friends of Pier Park. Do those, or like participate with all those different community organizations, get to know them, get to meet other neighbors, and really just have a day where a bunch of streets in St. John's are shut down, neighbors are just roaming everywhere, and we spend the longest day of the year all with each other and with our lovely neighborhood. So more to come on that, but another fun event. Two very short announcements. What's up, Carolyn?
Hi, hello. Thank you so much. First, I would like to thank everyone who came to protest peacefully on April 5th and reiterate that there is another protest on Saturday, April 19th. I honestly don't know the planned time, although I know Mark and I will be there from noon to 1. And secondly, speaking of that weekend, it's the Pick Up Your Plant weekend from the Sparrowhawk sale. Now, the sale has already closed out, but I just want to announce that Friends of Baltimore Woods is piggybacking on a little fundraiser. A local author and artist who's very talented has written a children's book called Falcons in the City. She'll be selling autographed copies. And also a local artisan is selling wooden bowls that he turned from chunks of wood, and it's a fundraiser for Friends of Baltimore Woods. And that's super exciting about the library. Thank you for all your advocacy.
Thanks, Caroline. I know you participated a lot in advocacy around that as well, so thank you for your time and your efforts on that. All right, we are going to move on to the treasurer's report. Bernie is here. Just 1 second while I share the screen. Oh boy. Pledge everything's on. Somebody help me. Thank you. All right. There we go. Bernie, take it away.
Okay, the general checking account from February 9th, 2025 through yesterday, April 13th, 2025, our beginning balance, $8,046.09. Income from NECN, which is Northeast Coalition of Neighborhoods. February 27th, we received the communications fund from them of $1,000. Then we were starting the process and getting PayPal set up. And there are 2 charges for the test that PayPal runs that was income that they put into our PayPal account on February 27th, 4 cents for one test and 17 cents for the second test. Then we were able to receive additional communications funds money from NECN on March 20th for another $1,000. Then we received a donation check from the Blackbaud Giving Fund on March 20th of $100. Blackbaud Giving Fund has to deal with somebody that is an employee of PGE or multiple people had donated money to them, to that giving fund, which in turn they had indicated it was to go to us. So we appreciate the fact that PGE employees were considering us for that. And then from the St. John Sustainability Committee, on March 24th, we received $200. This is our part from last year's cleanup. Total income, $2,300.21. Now we had expenses. Fred Myers, February 22nd, $17.99. That's food for a cleanup, and that's money that comes out of the Metro grant that we have restricted. Two Stroke Coffee, February 22nd, $51.75. Also food cleanup out of the Metro grant. Zoom, February 24th, $15.99. That's for our Zoom account, web services. PayPal, February 27th. There was one expense of 21 cents, which is the total of the 2 deposits that they made. MailChimp, March 3rd, $38.25. Web services, that's our email. Facilitron Incorporated, March 10th, $99.67. That is the company that Portland Public Schools uses for renting all of their facilities. And so for Sit in School, that's what we had to pay for this. US Bank, we have a service charge, March 14th, $6.50. That was for a truncated paper statement for the art fund. And I'll come back to that later. Daydreamer, March 15th, $69. That was AirPods, hospitality for the book exchange. Then we have Zoom, March 24th, $15.99, our monthly web services. Then we have Facebook charges because we had agreed to do some Facebook pushes, additional things to promote items and things coming up. So we have Facebook, March 31st, $2. Facebook, March 31st, another $2. Facebook, March 31st, $2. Facebook, March 31st, $2. Facebook, April 1st, $2. Facebook, April 1st, $2, and April 1st again, $2. Facebook, April 1st, $3. Facebook, April 1st, $3. Facebook, April 2nd, $3. Facebook, April 2nd, $5. Facebook, April 2nd, $8. And Facebook, April 3rd, 91 cents. MailChimp for April 4th. Web services, our email, like I said, $38.25. Oregon Secretary of State's Corporation Division, April 8th, that was $5. We needed to get a copy of the Articles of Incorporation for this organization, which was incorporated in May 29th of 1992. So those records are not up online. So I had to go to Salem and spend my afternoon there getting that, and they only charged $5 to give us a copy of it. And we needed that to be able to submit through NECN and stuff for another grant and stuff. Then the city of, then for RJ here, a check, April 10th of $115.72, and that's for reimbursement for stuff that he had charged for hospitality and for a cleanup in the fall. And then the city of Portland for on April 10th or April 26th, the day of the child, that we're using the facility rental there is $461. Then on the back side, if you have a paper form, total expenses are $904.49, leaving us a balance as of yesterday of $9,372.07. Restricted is $2,946.14, which is the Metro grant, which helps cover expenses we have for cleanups. Any questions? And stuff, okay? If you've seen the paper form or you're hearing, there's no art fund because we had used the funds out of that. It sat empty and US Bank decided, okay, it's been empty for 3 months, we're gonna close it. So they automatically closed the art fund account. And when they closed it, they needed to send us a paper statement. And since there was no money in that art fund, they took it out of our general checking account. That's why the $6.50 service charge. It took them a week and a half to try and tell me that, of me going there twice and stuff, but it took them that long to figure out what they'd actually did. Okay, our next account is our bottle drop. Same date range of February 9th to April 13th. We started out with a beginning balance of $405.40. We had bags dropped to $15.70. And we have an ending balance, which the forms that I printed out is not correct. Because I didn't get it added. So the actual balance is $421.10, not the $405.40, because that was the beginning balance. So I will reproduce a corrected form and get it into the secretary to have. Okay.
Thank you, Brittany.
Any questions? And I have bottle drop bags over there if anybody in need of them. I had a couple of people email me and say they needed bags, and I told they did that over the weekend, and I told them come to the meeting tonight and pick them up. So
Recruiting.
I don't know if you're here or not, but I've got them.
Thank you, Bernie. Thank you for all the work to keep it up to date. If anybody wonders why we don't meet at the community center, that 461 is for 2 hours in the big room. For 3 hours in this room, it was $99. We're making a fiscally responsible decision by choosing to meet at the schools because they're cheaper than the community center, which yeah, it feels there's probably a conversation to be had there about that. But yes, if you're ever wondering why, that is really a very large part of that decision. All right, we're a couple minutes over time here. Are there any board members who wish to provide a update on any activities? We have a hand raised from Matt. Matt, go ahead and get a.
Hello, friends. All right, so I have two things. One is this just came in today. Peabot reached out to me, and they mentioned that they are hoping to support some more biking stuff in St. John's, and that some experienced ride leaders from the Bike Advisory Committee were actually willing to come and help lead rides. So that's a discussion that I'm hoping to pursue with them a little bit further, but I'm interested in kind of input anyone has as far as what type of activity they'd like to see there. I kind of see two really cool opportunities with this over the summer. One is just getting folks out there, enjoying our community in a way that's kind of social, active. If you're someone who maybe isn't comfortable riding alone, riding in a group is a great way to get out there and do that and feel kind of safer and engaged. The other one is around kind of local businesses, right? A lot of bike rides center on like, hey, let's go to this specific place, a farmer's market bike ride, a food cart pod bike ride, that sort of thing. So if you yourself have a business and you're interested, or if you have some ideas for something that could be fun, RJ, do you mind if I kind of throw you under the bus and say, hey, email the association and you'll forward it to me?
Not a problem at all. info@stjohnspdx.org.
All right, then, yeah, please reach out, and RJ will put you in touch with me if that's something that you have thoughts, ideas on. Would love to see some cool stuff happen from that. Second thing, and I don't know how we're doing on time, but I wanted to bring it up for the bike bus folks around the city and also here in St. John's. There's an effort to kind of get the city council to work with PBOT to say, hey, can we do some things quick, low cost to make some of our bike bus routes safer? So I do have a letter in support of that resolution. I don't know if we have time to look at that right now, RJ, but that's something that I'm hoping we can talk about at some point.
I hesitate though, because not having had the chance for people to read it or sit with it.
Totally fair. Totally fair. So really just looking for your advice on how best to proceed there.
Okay. Yes, I mean, worst case and latest scenario, we have another general meeting on May 12th, so we could send it out in advance of that, and in 4 weeks' time, take a vote then. But if that's too late, we can investigate other options for ways to.
Okay, I'll follow up and chat with you some more. I know we're getting kind of late already, so hopefully there's something we can do there. Awesome, but that's what I got. So thank you very much, friends.
Thank you, Matt. Any other board members with any updates you wish to provide? Hearing none. We're at 8:36 p.m. Is there any final updates from anybody in the room? Otherwise, we could take a motion to adjourn the April general meeting. Yes. 2 questions.
Survey.
Yeah.
Is there a list of acceptable items that people ask me what could be delivered? And I didn't know what could.
Sure. Yes. So the question was about the dumpster day. If there was a list of acceptable items, there is a flyer. I believe I linked to it in the newsletter, but we will be sending it out also via social media. And we can link to it in the recap email of this meeting, but it is the standard bulky waste disposal event that we've had in the past. There'll be dumpsters for bulky waste, recycling, yard debris. So the sort of standard one that we've run in the past, but that list does exist, and we'll share it in the email, we'll share it on social media as well.
Is the day center still gonna open up, and do we know when?
So the question was if the day center was still going to open up. That's the Multnomah County Day Center that would be operated by Do Good Multnomah. That would be on Lombard in the health building there. When they first started coming to our meetings, they said it was going to open maybe December and then January, and then now. The last I heard was they were hoping for May. But it doesn't seem like there is a clear concrete timeline there as far as the information that we've received. Was there any other questions or? Yes, Ben. Ben, sorry, do you mind for the people on Zoom, just quickly doing a quick 2 seconds? The cord there. Oh yeah, good one.
Okay, hi, I'm Ben, announcing this on behalf of a friend who works at Vet Rest. who's doing a event at Cathedral Park this Friday from 9 a.m. to noon. They're going to be planting over 700 plants. This is in association with Portland Parks and Rec, Metro, Team Rubicon. If folks are interested, I've got a QR code. You can sign up online. There's a website. I think they're just looking for RSVPs, but it's free. And again, that's at Cathedral Park this Friday, 9 to noon.
Thank you very much. Okay, with that, do I have a motion to adjourn the April general meeting? All right, do you mind saying your name for the record? Bev Ferguson, motions to adjourn. Judy Williams, seconds. All those in favor? Wow, that's pretty easy, huh? All right, and the meeting is adjourned, folks. Thanks for coming out. We appreciate your time, for all your work, and we look forward to seeing you again soon at all of the events coming up, and then at our May general meeting on the 12th, which will be in one of the schools, but keep your eye out for which one, as we will lock that in the near future. Thanks, folks.